Victoria's last letter. A doctor's 30-year secret revealed. What if a phone call you received last week showed you that your entire life was built on lies? What if you learned that everything you'd believed for 30 years had never actually happened? What you're about to hear will shake you to your core. Are you ready? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. My name is Sarah Clark. I'm 58 years old, and I live in Boston. I'm going to tell you the incredible story of a discovery that changed my life forever. This event shook me so deeply that I still can't distinguish between what's real and what's imaginary. It all started with that cursed phone call last Monday morning. While drinking my coffee as usual, my phone rang. An unknown number. Normally I wouldn't answer, but something told me I should. Ms. Clark? This is Linda Morrison, Victoria Morrison's cousin. I need to discuss something very important with you. Victoria Morrison. Hearing that name created a painful ache in my heart. For 30 years, I'd felt the same pain every time I heard it. Of course, I said, trying to control the tremor in my voice. I hadn't spoken to Victoria's family in 30 years. Why now? Could we meet? I have something to show you about Victoria. Something very, very important. There was a strange tension in Linda's voice, as if she was carrying a huge secret to get to the beginning of the story. We need to go back to 1993. I was a 28-year-old young doctor, working in the emergency room at Boston General Hospital. Life was perfect then. I was engaged to the most beautiful woman in the world, 26-year-old Victoria Morrison. I can never forget the moment I first saw Victoria. It was her second day working as a nurse at the hospital. I was at the coffee machine during the early morning shift change. My head was foggy with sleep when she walked in, her golden blonde hair cascading over her shoulders like a waterfall, her blue eyes sparkling like the morning sun. The moment I looked at her, my heart started beating wildly, as if I was falling in love for the first time in my life. "Hello," she had said simply, her smile so genuine and warm. Such a simple word, but the word that changed my life. "Hello," I stammered, nearly dropping the coffee cup in my hand. "You're Dr. Clark, aren't you?" "I'm Victoria, the new nurse. They've told me a lot about you." From that moment on, I tried to talk to her every chance I got. When we passed in the corridors, my heart would skip a beat, and while moving between patients, my eyes would search for her. Victoria wasn't just beautiful, she was smart, compassionate, witty. The way she talked to patients, her ability to smile at children, the calm she displayed in difficult moments. She was a perfect nurse. I spent 3 months gathering my courage. Finally, I asked her out to dinner. When she said yes, I almost fainted from happiness. Our first date was unforgettable. I took her to the city's most beautiful restaurant. We talked all evening about our dreams, our families, our future plans. Victoria said she wanted to become a teacher. "I love children so much," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Someday I want to be both a mother and a teacher." When I heard those words, one knew I had decided to love her forever. We dated for 6 months. Every day I fell more in love. Every moment I spent with Victoria was perfect. The shifts we worked together, weekend trips, the moments we drank tea in the hospital cafeteria at midnight. Everything was so natural, so perfect. Finally, in our 6th month, I proposed. In our favorite park in Back Bay, at sunset, on one knee. Victoria Morrison. I said, my voice trembling, "Will you marry me?" "Yes," she screamed, tears in her eyes. "Yes, Sarah. Of course, yes." The moment I slipped the engagement ring on her finger was the happiest moment of my life. Victoria was crying and laughing, and so was I. The other people in the park around us were applauding. We started making wedding plans. We would marry in spring 1994. Victoria was curious about every detail, from flowers to music, from food to decorations. "I want it to be perfect," she would say, "because I planned to get married only once." We were choosing children's names. Michael for a boy, Victoria's father's name. Emma for a girl, my grandmother's name. We were planning a honeymoon in Cape Cod. Victoria loved the ocean and wanted to walk on the beach for hours. "Imagine Sarah," she would say with dreamy eyes. "We'll have little feet running on the beach. We'll teach them to swim, build castles." Everything was so perfect that I never thought anything bad would happen until that terrible night. October 21st, 1993, Thursday night. That morning I had breakfast with Victoria. Normally we didn't work the night shift at the same time, but a change had been made that night. "Let's meet for breakfast tomorrow, sweetheart," she had said in our last meeting. "I'll show you the ideas I found for the wedding cake." I found some beautiful catalogs. She had smiled with that magnificent smile, kissed my cheek. "I love you, Dr. Clark. I love you too, Nurse Morrison." This had become our joke, using our official titles. Around 11:30 p.m., my life changed forever. I was having a quiet shift in the emergency room. No trauma cases had come in, just a few minor injuries. I was drinking coffee with the other doctors, talking about Victoria's wedding plans. Then I heard the ambulance siren. That familiar sound coming from a distance, growing more intense. "Incoming trauma," someone shouted from the nurse's station. We prepared. We got the resuscitation room ready, checked the equipment. I thought it was a routine night case. When the ambulance doors opened, I heard the paramedic's voice. 26-year-old female. Motor vehicle accident. Severe head trauma. Unresponsive. When they brought in the stretcher, I didn't recognize her at first. The face was so damaged that blood and swelling covered everything. But then I saw the golden blonde hair, disheveled, blood-stained, but undeniably familiar. "Oh God," I whispered. "Oh God, no." "Sarah, what's wrong?" asked Dr. Martinez. This is Victoria. This is my fiancé." The world slipped away from under my feet. My hands started trembling. I couldn't breathe. Victoria was there, on the stretcher, motionless, struggling to breathe. "Sarah, you need to step back," said Dr. Martinez. "You've lost your objectivity." "No," I screamed. "She's my fiancée. I'm going to save her." We worked frantically for 30 minutes. CPR, defibrillator, adrenaline, atropine. We tried everything. My hands started shaking. My vision blurred. This was my Victoria. The Victoria who was planning our wedding. The Victoria who was choosing children's names. "Sarah, there's nothing more we can do," Dr. Martinez said gently. "No," I screamed, tears streaming. "Let's try one more time, please. But there were no vital signs. The EKG showed a flat line. Her pupils were dilated and unresponsive to light. At 0:47, I had to pronounce her dead. Time of death, 0:47. I pronounced the death of the love of my life. From that moment, I collapsed. I fell to the floor in the corridor and started crying. The other nurses tried to comfort me, but nothing worked. Victoria was gone. The following days were a blur. Victoria's family came to the hospital. Her mother looked at me with accusation in her eyes. "You're a doctor," she screamed. "Why couldn't you save her? What good are you?" Her father tried to quiet her, but she was right. I was a doctor, and I couldn't save the woman I loved. The funeral was horrible. Victoria's coffin was closed. Her face had been so damaged. I sat in the front row, still in shock. The minister spoke of Victoria as an angel gone too soon. Victoria's mother came to me after the funeral. "I wish you had died, and she had lived," she said. "You weren't worthy of her." Those words stuck in my heart. Maybe she was right. The following months were like hell. I couldn't work, couldn't concentrate. Every time I looked at a patient, I saw Victoria. Every ambulance siren made me relive that night. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. The psychiatrist prescribed antidepressants, suggested therapy, but nothing could fill Victoria's absence. In 1994, I decided to escape from Boston. Every corner filled with Victoria's memories, every hospital corridor, every cafeteria was destroying me. I moved to Seattle and started working at a small clinic. I tried to build a new life, but failed. I met women, but none of them was Victoria. Every blonde woman made my heart race for a moment. Then I'd experienced disappointment. For 30 years, I never married. I didn't have serious relationships. How could I? I could never forget Victoria. Every October 21st, I would return to Boston and visit her grave at Riverdale Cemetery. I would sit there for hours and talk to her. Beloved Victoria Morrison, 1967 to 1993, gone too soon, was written on the marble stone. Victoria, I would say to the gravestone every year, "I'm still waiting for you. I still love you. How are you there? Can you see me?" Sometimes I would stay at the cemetery for hours and cry. Other visitors would wonder, but I didn't care. This year, 2023, while preparing to go to Boston as usual, that phone call came. I met Linda Morrison the next day at Commonwealth Park in Boston. She was a woman in her 50s who slightly resembled Victoria, but there was deep anxiety on her face, as if she was carrying a very heavy secret. "Miss Clark," she said as soon as she sat down, her hands trembling, "what I'm going to tell you will change your life. Very shocking. But I think you need to know the truth." "What kind of truth?" I asked, feeling uneasy. She pulled out a thick, yellowed envelope from her bag. Victoria's handwriting was on the envelope. "My Sarah, my last letter." The world stopped. I recognized that writing. Victoria's elegant, careful handwriting. "This is Victoria's letter," Linda said in a trembling voice. She gave it to me 2 days before she died. She said, "If something happens to me, give this to Sarah." But then that night everything happened, and I was in shock. I forgot about the letter. Until what? Linda took a deep breath. Until Victoria contacted me last month. My blood froze. What do you mean contacted? Victoria died. She died 30 years ago. I pronounced her death. Sarah, please read the letter first. Then I'll explain everything. I took the envelope with trembling hands. I could still smell Victoria's scent. It seemed I was afraid to open the envelope, but my curiosity was stronger. When I opened the letter, what I read turned my 30-year world upside down once again. My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this letter, it means the plan worked and you think I'm dead. God, I realize what I've done to you and my heart is breaking. Forgive me, my love. But I had no other choice. Sarah, I didn't die. The accident that night was completely fake. Everything was planned in advance. The Victoria in the ambulance wasn't me. The truth is, I was in very big trouble. You didn't know any of this because I carefully hid it from you. I was stealing drugs from the hospital, morphine, codeine, powerful painkillers. I was selling them to street dealers. It started innocently. I was trying to get extra morphine for my sick mother. Her insurance didn't cover cancer treatment. She was in pain. But then I got involved in this business. I had serious debts, and I had also started gambling addiction. I was secretly going to casinos at night. Every night I lied to you. When I said I'm late because there's a patient, I was actually at the poker table. I was trying to pay my debts with my winnings, but I was sinking deeper. Hospital management had noticed the drug loss. An FBI investigation had started. I was going to be caught in about a week. I was about to go to prison. I wanted to marry you and live a normal life, but it was impossible now. That night I arranged a fake accident. My friend Dr. Sarah at the morgue helped. The woman who died in the accident was actually an unidentified woman's corpse, a Jane Doe. Her face was already damaged beyond recognition. We switched it with my hair. I wasn't in the ambulance. Sarah, that corpse wasn't me. I had already left the city by then. The funeral was fake too. There's nothing in the coffin. I'm currently living under a different identity in a different city. Sarah, I still love you. I think about you every day. But the Victoria who died that night really had to die. I'm someone else now. Please don't try to find me. Forgive me. I had to do this to avoid hurting you more. Forever yours, Victoria. The letter fell from my hands. While reading, I couldn't breathe. My heart was beating wildly. The woman I had been mourning for 30 years was alive. The grave I had been visiting for 30 years was empty. My whole life was built on lies. This can't be real, I said in a trembling voice. Linda nodded, her eyes welling up. I was shocked too. Sarah, but Victoria contacted me last month. She's very sick. Terminal cancer. She said she wanted to tell the truth before she died. Where is she? In Portland, Oregon. She's living under the name Sarah Mitchell. Married. Has 2 children. But now, she's very sick. Maybe a few months left to live. Does she want to talk to me? Linda examined my eyes carefully. Yes. But Sarah, you need to be ready. She's not Victoria anymore. She's Sarah. 30 years have passed. She's become a completely different person. I couldn't sleep that night. Victoria was alive but dying. She had left me 30 years ago, but now wanted to talk to me. Anger, sadness, hope, disappointment. I was experiencing all of them at once. The next day, I flew to Portland. I found the given address, a small, white house in a suburban neighborhood, flowers in the garden, children's toys. A normal family home. When I knocked on the door, the woman who opened it was Victoria, but also wasn't. 30 years had passed. Her hair had turned white. Her face was lined with wrinkles. She had lost a lot of weight due to chemotherapy. But her eyes, those blue eyes were still the same. "Sarah," she said in a trembling voice. "You really came, Victoria," I said, my voice barely coming out. I went inside. It was a normal family home. Children's photos on the walls, family pictures on shelves. Victoria's, Sarah's, had a completely different life. Photos taken with people I didn't know. 2 children, a beautiful girl and boy, about 20 years old. A handsome, middle-aged man, her husband. This is your family," I said, looking at the photos. Double quotes, "Yes. Michael is my husband. Emma and Jake are my children. They think you're an old friend. 30 years. Victoria, I mourned for 30 years. How did you build a new life so easily?" Victoria, Sarah, sat down, tears beginning to flow from her eyes. "It wasn't easy, Sarah. I thought about you every day. I felt regret every day. But I had no other choice. No other choice. You could have talked to me. We could have helped. We could have solved it together." "How? You were at the beginning of your career then. Should you have gone to prison because of me? Should you have lost your medical practice? Should I have ruined your dreams? I loved you, Sarah. I didn't want to destroy you. I was already destroyed. I couldn't love anyone for 30 years." Sarah buried her face in her hands and started crying. "I know. I never wanted this situation. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know the truth." We talked for hours. Sarah told me about her new life. She had gone to Portland, changed her identity, worked in cleaning services. Then she met Michael, someone who was also going through hard times, wanting to leave his past behind. She told him the truth, and he accepted it. They got married, had 2 children. Sarah became a teacher. She lived a decent, normal life. "Do you regret it?" I asked. "I regret leaving you every day. But if I had gone to prison, you would have been ruined too. You stole 30 years of my life." "Victoria, I know, and I'm forever sorry for that." I stayed in Portland for 3 days. I visited Sarah every day. We talked about our past, our good days, our wedding plans, the children we had dreamed of. Some moments it was as if 30 years had never passed. "I still love you," I said on the last night. Both Victoria and Sarah. "I love you too, Sarah. I always have. But it's too late now. I'm dying." On the last night we had dinner together. Sarah cooked. She still remembered my favorite pasta. It was as if we were in 1993, as if we were engaged. "Sarah," she said at the end of dinner, "I have a request. When I die, I want cremation. Scatter my ashes. I don't want a grave." Because Victoria's grave already exists in Boston. When I returned to Boston, my mind was even more confused. I had been mourning the wrong person for 30 years. The grave at Riverdale was empty. Victoria hadn't died, but now she was really dying. 2 months later, the phone rang. Michael was calling. Sarah died, he said. Her last word was your name. She said, "Tell Sarah I always loved her." I went to her funeral. It was a small ceremony in Portland. Michael, Emma, Jake, and a few friends. They introduced me as an old friend. "Our mother loved you very much," Emma said. "She always talked about you." After the funeral, Michael gave me an envelope. "Sarah wanted this given to you." Inside was a single line, "Now I'm really dead. You can mourn for real now. I always loved you. That day Victoria really died." 30 years later. Now I'm 58 years old, and I understand how my life was built entirely on lies. I mourned a ghost woman for 30 years. I visited an empty grave for 30 years. Most painfully, Victoria had done this to protect me. But in the end, we both lived 30 lost years. Sometimes the greatest love means causing the person you love to lose you completely.